Hello, hello, holo. I am Scott. I am back. I am giving you 14 recommended movies for each year of the last 20 years. I am on to 1999 at this point. 1999 was a fantastic year. Fantastic year for movies. Groundbreaking, expectation-defying films. Despite the presence of such duds as The Phantom Menace and The Mummy, another of its ilk, there's actually too many great movies to list on this. I had to leave off Toy Story 2 and Galaxy Quest. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? There's one movie for each night of your two-week 1999 film festival. We shall begin, of course, with a movie that everyone knows and most people really, really dig, and was very, very exciting when it came out at the time. Big action special effects extravaganza called, of course, The Matrix. This came out just a few days before my birthday, actually. So, if I'm not mistaken, I made that my birthday movie, and I was very pleased by my choice. It was, of course, directed by the Wachowskis. Still Larry and Andy at that point, not yet Lana and Andy. But The Matrix, of course, is a movie that caught everyone by surprise, especially when the trailer premiered at the Super Bowl that year, and went, whoa, what the heck is happening there? That's crazy. Y'all know the story, y'all know who's in this. But yes, it's a good escapist movie to lead off your 1999 film festival. Next we have Election by Alexander Payne, who of course did Citizen Ruth, which was one of my 1997 recommendations, and went on to do About Schmidt, The Descendants, Nebraska, movies like that. He's got another movie called Downsizing coming out with Matt Damon and Reese Witherspoon, who of course was one of the stars of Election, so she's back in the Alexander Payne game. That's very, very cool. Reese, of course, plays Tracy Flick, and she is a high school student who is running for student council president, and Matthew Broderick is the other central character, teacher, who is very popular amongst the students and teaches political science. And amongst other courses. The other two main characters are played by Jessica Campbell and Chris Klein as brother and sister, both of whom also decided to run for student council for various reasons. Now, when I first saw this movie, I thought it was really exciting because Payne had taken some techniques that I saw in Goodfellas, and I liked very much, and applied it to this movie. It's based on a novel by Tom Perrotta, which I've read. And the four main characters are narrators of their own story. So kind of like Henry Hill and his wife in Goodfellas, who split the narration duties amongst them. The narration is divided amongst four major characters. And there's lots of, backstabbing, and just it's a dark comedy, basically. It's a dark comedy about the shenanigans that people get up to when their ambition or other base impulses takes over and makes them less than altruistic and less than good people, I guess you could say. Each of them has their issues, and it's been pointed out that the nicest and most worthy guy of the worthy person of the student council seat is Chris Klein, despite the fact that he's kind of an idiot. He doesn't have ulterior motives, unlike everyone else. So let's move on to Three Kings by David O. Russell, my favorite David O. Russell movie, and he's made some pretty darn good ones the last few years, hasn't he? Of course, this is set during the Gulf War of 1991, and George Clooney, Ice Cube, and Spike Jonze and Mark Wahlberg play some Desert Storm types in the military. Just as the conflict has ended, with a very, very short conflict, they learn about some gold bars that are stashed away at one of Saddam Hussein's bunkers, and they decide, hey, we're going to take a little caravan over there, grab that stuff, and take it back with us to the States and live the good life. Things don't go as planned, of course. Really, really like this movie a lot. It's really exciting. David O. Russell's made some movies that I've really enjoyed. He's made The Fighter, he's made Silver Linings Playbook, Flirting with Disaster in 1996 prior to that. But my favorite film of his is definitely this one. Next we have Go. Go is an independent, not totally independent. It was put out by Columbia, but it's very independent spirit, in spirit, I guess you could say. It's an ensemble movie directed by Doug Liman and written by John August. Doug Liman, of course, previously did Swingers, and then he went on to do some very, very big movies like Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Jumper and Edge of Tomorrow. Really like Doug Liman a lot. Generally, he's a very good director. And this one has a really, really great cast. So many great actors I couldn't even name, but I just want to mention, in particular, William Finkner as the kind of weird police officer who's trying to get Scott Wolf and Jane Moore to do a drug dealer so he can do a drug deal for him so he can arrest the person who's selling to him. But he's kind of weird. He's got some weird stuff going on there. Anyway, there's a big cast, including Sarah Polley and Taye Diggs, Breckin Meyer. Yeah, just a really big cast of cool actors, all sort of wandering around Los Angeles around Christmas time, doing their thing, getting in trouble, getting out of trouble. It's a great movie, really, really terrific movie. Also, one of the first DVDs that I ever bought, that and the David Fincher movie, The Game, both had the widescreen and the full screen version on the disc, which I thought was a great benefit of DVDs. Especially since they were filmed in a format that didn't actually totally need to be letterboxed. And actually the Game DVD isn't one of those anamorphic DVDs that uses the entire flat screen. You'd have to magnify the image. So actually it might be preferable to watch like the full screen version of that. Anyway, I'm getting off track there. But those were the very first two DVDs I ever bought. Go and The Game. G's. They're both G's. That's weird. Next on my list right here, Eyes Wide Shut, the very last film by Stanley Kubrick, and not my favorite of his movies, but it is, of course, very noteworthy, as it is the last movie that he ever made. They were making this movie, they were shooting this movie in 1996, back when Tom Cruise was still, promoting Jerry Maguire, I think, and filmed all the way for like 2 years making that movie, just so that he can get it right, I guess. Anyway, the main characters, of course, are Cruise and his then-wife, Nicole Kidman. He's a Manhattan doctor, and she is his wife, of course, and they have a daughter, and he begins to discover sort of underbelly, a sort of underground society of just like weird people with weird sexual fetishes, and he becomes very curious about it, and goes on a little journey over the course of several nights to discover more of that. It's based on a novel called Traum Novelle, or Dream Story, by Arthur Schnitzer, I believe his name is, and it's a book that Kubrick wanted to adapt for a very, very long time, and he finally got the chance to do it. Sadly, no more films from Stanley Kubrick, and like I said, this isn't one of my favorite movies by him, but it's definitely a noteworthy movie from that year. Next, for a change of pace, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. One of the funniest movies ever. It's been years since I've watched the TV show South Park, but when I first started watching it, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe how crazy it was and how funny. And the movie is definitely in line with that. It's a very, very funny movie. I know you know all about that, what happens in that, but basically you've got 4 kids who go see a movie starring some of their favorite comedians, and it contains a bunch of cursing, and they start cursing their heads off, and then the parents get really, really upset about that, and they decide to take some drastic steps to get their kids to stop cursing, which of course is something that no parent can ever do. I mean, forget about alcohol and cigarettes and what have you, and rap music, whatever, kids, that's the easiest way they can break a rule, is just to swear. And of course it's a musical as well, with lots and lots of really great songs. This was one of the movies that I chose for the first attempt that I did at a 24-hour movie marathon from Ryan Chataway, and it was a really good choice. And finally, for this video, I'd like to talk about the Best Picture winner, American Beauty, a movie that I really, really loved when I first saw it, and in subsequent years like a little bit less, but it's still very, very good. Of course, Kevin Spacey won Best Actor for the movie, and it's a great role, fits him very well. It's got a good cast of supporting actors like Chris Cooper and Wes Bentley, and you've got Scott Bakula, and I can't even remember everyone. Annette Bening is probably the one person that I don't like as much in the cast. I've only seen 2 Annette Bening performances that I don't love. There's this one, and then there's her performance in The Women. Other than that, she's fantastic. But yeah, it's a funny movie. Of course, the writer Alan Ball went on to create 6 Feet Under, the television series, which I've never actually seen. Yeah, great movie, really good movie, and I was just, it was a weird experience seeing this movie. I wasn't expecting a lot from it, and I went out of there just kind of floating on a cloud. I don't know, maybe it was sort of that whole, the whole Kevin Spacey rebelling against his bosses and against the, sort of conventional suburban life, what have you. But that's always a good thing, or at least it's fun to watch in any case. So there's 7 movies from 1999. My next video will be with another 7, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I appreciate comments, and I've gotten a lot of them lately, and thank you very much for that, and I'll see you again real soon.